And we're back. We're here again. I'm sorry. I'm just giggling because this process has just been so fun. Yeah, but I'm excited about this topic today that we're going to be leaning into. Talking about idols. And I'm really excited about this because I think that when, at least from a religion perspective, and we're talking about idols, people immediately think like
false gods,
the golden calf and stuff, right? Like if you've read the Bible, if you haven't, you have no idea what I'm talking about. But you know, like in the Bible, there's all this like you're bowing down to other gods. You are, you know, worshiping golden calves and things like that. And I think it's so important for us to have this conversation around. I think it's more subtle than that.
Like, what does that mean in modern
What
times?
does that mean? Yeah, like how do we take that now and talk about where in our life, what certain elements are we making an idol?
Mm-hmm.
And it not having to be just like another god, but it's like way more subtle.
Mm-hmm.
And it's where you're like putting other things ahead of and worshiping and bowing down to.
And it's things that are in our everyday life that we have to be in relationship with, right? Like you don't have to be in relationship with a false god, right? Like but the things we're going to talk about today that can so easily become false idols for us, that have been false idols for me in my life, like what they are and how sneaky it can be. Yeah. And also like, again, big invitation to let go of any shame around it, because
it's
just a human.
There you go. Like, and please know, like, hope you feel our hearts by now if you've been listening in. Like, none of this is coming from a place of judgment or shame. It's just to open the dialogue, to get real curious about where in your life are you allowing some of these things that we're going to chat about to really overpower and take complete control, and you find yourself like constantly turning to them rather than God.
I also want to name that so many of these things happen so unconsciously. Mm-hmm. I feel like a lot of times from a more religious perspective, you can hear people naming it as if it's something that you are like actively, directly choosing to place over God. Yeah. Right? Versus the reality of the subtle nature of what just happens naturally, and specifically for us in our modern dopamine inducing world, right? How quickly our attention can be pulled, and how quickly our worship, really, for lack of a better term, can be pulled into these things that are actually in some ways designed to do that. I mean, we're going to talk about social media today as a huge piece of that, and it's literally designed to become that, and how to sort of navigate these things from a place of not shaming yourself for the relationship that you have with it, but not making it a thing that comes before or in between your relationship with God.
Yeah, let's get into it. You named it. You named social media. Let's start there. Social media is such an animal. You know, I have such a love-hate tug of war with it. And why? If I'm being really honest with myself, is because I have fallen into such a like becoming addicted to the vanity metrics of it, right? Tying my worth and value to, oh my gosh, how many people liked this post that I put up? Oh, nobody interacted with it. Oh, it must not have been good. Not have been good, right? Yeah. And really just having a beautiful message to share, but laying down like how many people hit the like button, how many people commented on it, if I got any private messages about it to really dictate what I was putting out was of any value.
Right. Sure. Finding your every single episode we're having is coming back to that relationship that you have with God. I mean, if you haven't learned by now, everything that we're doing is coming back to that direct, intentional, experiential relationship that you get to have with God, and making sure that you're not placing these things before that, and also naming how beautiful each one of them can be as a tool to actually bring you closer to God, or to steward your mission. And this delicate dance that we do have to play as humans in being really conscientious of how we are utilizing these things, right? Like, social media is such a gift. Our last episode was about the age of entrepreneurship and the age of mission-led, God-led entrepreneurship, and social media is such a gift that allows people to spread incredible messages far and wide and create businesses of substance and livelihoods out of these things that God is placing on their hearts, right? Like, we can look at social media and the development of technology as a gift from God. But when it becomes a false idol and something that we are putting all of our value and all of our attention into, then it can take away from that relationship. So it really feels like a lot of the things we're going to talk about today, they can go both ways. It's not just it's all bad and wrong and shut it down and don't have any relationship with it. I think some people will do that, create a line in the sand and make it black and white, but it's really not. It can be either or.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's finding that beautiful dance in between. And you're absolutely right. I think that all of these elements we're going to be talking about right now, we're leaning into social media. It is a tool. It's not inherently bad, but right, it's how is it, for me, it's like I had to sit with how do I feel when I'm interacting in these spaces, you know? And then I had to get into a heart posture of creating more than I was consuming, and creating for the intention behind it of getting my message out there, sharing the things I wanted to, and really having to shed some of those vanity metrics that I was chasing after, and knowing that my value and worth wasn't attached to that, and the message was going to get to the right people. And so, right, having to work on the heart posture of these different tools that have been gifted to us.
Yeah. I have had in my spiritual experience and being a spiritual entrepreneur so many times in practice, God come to me and been like, you don't need social media. You do that because you want to do that. If you don't want to do it anymore, don't do it. Like, I'm going to get you the people that you need to get to, right? And not in this way of like, put it down, don't do it. But it's like, stop making it this huge monumental thing that you have to attach your worthiness and your value and the value of your work to, when the value of your work is meant to be attached to me and the work that I'm doing through you and the creations that I'm pouring through you, that absolutely, yes, can be done via social media. But if it's this thing that's so overwhelming or so debilitating, or that we're obsessing over those numbers so much, God's still going to be able to put us on mission without being on social media.
Yeah, very true. I mean, and even going deeper, like we had talked about in one of the other episodes, comparison is a huge thing that gets in the way of me and my relationship with God as well. And I find that a lot in the social media space, right? And you're putting yourself in this, you're seeing so many people putting up the highlight reel of everything looking amazing, because not that many people are going to be like, my life is miserable, right? Like, they're not sharing that, which I understand. But it really can, if you don't have the right heart posture and mindset going into it, can definitely take you into a spiral. And I think any time that we're in that position is giving us that potential to be separating from our relationship with God.
Yeah. I have found in, like, since placing God at the center of our mission, this is like a slippery thing. I have found myself very easily validating my addiction, right? Because I'm like, this is part of my mission. God's telling me to do it.
Yeah.
Right? And getting really, really conscientious of that, right? Really conscientious of how many times I'm going on there and I'm checking things and I'm tuning into the business, right? Because it can become so easy in entrepreneurship when every moment of every day can be an intuitive, God-guided spark of creation, to really balance and have boundaries around what does that look like systems of creation, so that not every single second when you get an idea, you're immediately jumping to social media and immediately making it a thing that, like, right now in this second I have to create. There are going to be moments like that, but I've had to set some serious boundaries about, like, brain dumping into journals and into the notes on my phone and letting that be something that is like a part of my worship, where a part of my creation is being in the experience of what God is moving through me, the words, the ideas, without immediately needing to get this self-validation out of putting it out to the world.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad that you named that, and kind of moves into a nice transition of, like, another idol, I think, is our cell phones, right? Like, I was just talking with someone the other day about how wild it is. I my very first phone I ever received plugged into the lighter hole in the car. I'm a little older than you. But it like literally was like for emergencies only, and it sat under my driver's seat. I didn't actually get a real cell phone in my hands until like my sophomore year of college.
It was a phone that was attached to the cigarette lighter, and it only worked if it was plugged into there?
Yeah. It was
it on a wire?
So it was in this
Like
little,
a house phone in your car.
basically. Yeah. It was like in this little case, and it had a wire that you plugged into the lighter thing, and then that's how you would make calls. And it was just in my car in case something bad happened. I couldn't take it anywhere with me.
Yeah.
So I never even had access to having a cell phone with me until I was in my second year of college.
Yeah.
And I see now when I'm out, and you'll see families at dinner, and I just the other night I was out to dinner and I saw a family, and there was like 3 kids and even the parents, and they were all eating and phones right in their faces, and I think about driving down the road, and I look over, and how many times I'm driving now and I see someone, and they're driving really slow, and you're like, what the heck are you doing? And then you get near them, and
they're on their phone.
They're on their phone. And I think that the phone has to be, again, a tool that was meant to make our lives a lot easier, right? Like if you read some of the old research, like the mindset was, we're going to create these phones and technology and email and stuff so that Americans were not having to work like as many hours as we are.
More
it was
of your time
supposed
back.
to get more of our time back, and the opposite has happened. Now we've become completely obsessed with being connected to our technology. So we're always checking emails, always checking the social media, what's happening here. And it's pulling us from being in the present moment in our life.
Yeah. And that pulls us away from God, because the only place you can actually be in relationship with God is in the present moment.
Right.
And I just think about, you said that not the metaphor, the example of the family at dinner. It pulls you away from intimate moments that you can have with your loved ones as well.
Yeah.
Like these idols aren't just things that are going to damn you to hell. They're things that are going to lead you to miss out on the gift that God has given you, which is the experience of this life, the goodness of this life.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's so sad. And every time I see it, I'm just like, again, love-hate relationship. And like you mentioned, finding the boundaries within it. Because I find myself getting very defensive if someone says like, you're always on your phone. And I'm like, I'm running my business. Okay. Yeah. My business is through my phone. When the
meanwhile, they say it and I'm like scrolling my For You page.
Right.
Like, this is for my phone.
Exactly.
Just not right now.
And like, I don't need to pick up my phone and answer a text message when I'm sharing a meal with someone I love. Like that's not essential. And yet I will find myself, I'm now like in the habit of it, just has become such
an addiction,
second nature, and an addiction. Like my body's just like, oh, I don't have anything to do. Let me pick up my phone. Oh, I'm hanging out with my friend and she goes to the restroom. Let me pick up my phone. Like I have gotten to a space, and I'm working through this, relationship now, but where it's like, I cannot be satiated and find being content in a stillness and just
the
pure, present, silent moment.
And I think that this is an invitation to invite that practice in, not even just for listeners, for us as well. And it's something I believe I've started to do, where can I replace that immediate gratification of picking up my cell phone, which has become such a just automatic. It's freaky how automatic it is. My husband actually calls it like my Pavlovian response. We'll be in bed and he gets up to go get a glass of water or go to the bathroom, and the second he turns to get out of bed, I turn to pick up my phone. Sometimes it even happens, he'll just turn to the nightstand to get the clicker, and when he turns, I turn, and it's like, oh my God. And admitting that so many of us have it because these phones were designed to do this thing, but can you begin to even explore a relationship with God lives in the silence and the stillness. So when I get the opportunity to be in a moment of stillness and silence, being with a friend and she gets up to go to the bathroom, that's an opportunity to tune in with God.
Yeah.
Instead of tune in with your phone.
100%. Yeah. And I think there's so many of us that I can't hear from God. I don't know what's going on. Well, of course you don't. Look at all of this stuff we're getting, all of the noise. And I don't think that, I used to always be like, does God this booming voice that comes from the sky? Because when people would say oh, I hear from God, he talked, and I'm like, what do you sound like? Yeah. What do you mean? I want to know.
Can you record his voice?
Right? I want to know. And the reality of it being I had too much crap, too much busyness going on. And as long as you're like continually keeping yourself busy with all of these external stimulations and distractions and turning to them for your validation, you're never going
To hear
it.
Yeah. That's another idol. That comes up so much inside of the Living Liberated community, something we are so deeply working on with women inside of that space. Busyness.
Yeah.
Getting our worthiness from our busyness. We talked so much last week on one of our calls about hearing through God's voice to like offload certain things in our lives, and then the automatic habit of like, okay, I offloaded all of this, but now like I'm going to fill the space with all this new stuff, and then all of a sudden you're in the exact same space you were before. It's just different stuff filling the space. And I have found in my relationship with God that I actually don't have to work as hard as I once thought I did, but it's been a deep deconditioning of putting my worthiness in that busyness. Of like, if I'm not up and I'm not doing something and I'm not contributing, whether it be to my home or to my business or to another person, that I'm not inherently worthy. I need to earn that worth by doing. And that doing can become an idol because, again, you hear God in stillness and silence. And I think we can get our relationship with him to a place where we can hear him all the time, right? But it's still, no matter what, requires that stillness and silence. And I think it requires us to push even beyond just the checkbox of a devotional practice in the morning of like, okay, God, I'll give you this 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes in the morning. But then the rest of the day can become an addiction to the idol of busyness.
I'm so glad that you landed on busyness, because that was the other one that I really wanted to make sure we hit on, because I feel like we just wear hustle and grind like this amazing badge of honor. And it is such an addiction that just keeps us in this perpetual like chasing mentality. And it's wreaking havoc on our nervous system. And we live in a culture that is just keeping us in that, right? All the messaging, like never miss a Monday, like go hard, go home. Everything in our culture is like obsess over more chasing achievements at work, in our personal lives, like sports, the gym. Everything is like a go, 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 go. And we're freaking exhausted.
And it's go, 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 go to get.
Yes. Yes.
Like we're doing it all to try and get money, validation, finally land in the body that you think will be the thing that brings you the satiation, and that incessant busyness, that incessant doing and hustling. Again, I'm reiterating the same thing over and over and over again, but it keeps us chasing these false idols. Like the chasing itself is a false idol, but it keeps us chasing these false idols. And so long as we are doing that, there is no space for us to lean into the fullness and wholeness and satiation and peace that comes with letting God into those spaces.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking right now in this moment, how you named, like, it's such a thing specifically in our Western world and the culture that we've grown up in inside of the capitalistic society that we live in. And this isn't to demonize capitalism, but it's become a beast. It's become a beast that we are incessantly trying to keep up with and simultaneously like run away from. And I think that's also why we have had such a difficult time historically in our spiritual nature in the Western world. Like there's been a lot of confusion and distortion and distance, right? It's very normal to meet people in our Western society that have no relationship at all to spirituality because our lives are so full with the doing and the getting and the becoming. And there's really no space and not a ton of guidance for the reality of what is happening inside of that. Right? Like you're running and you're running and you're running and you're running, but you're never actually getting anywhere.
Yeah. And for what? For what?
And we see God uses all things, right? So we see a lot of times people who have lived that way for a certain amount of time, and then that's the thing that leads them to drop to their knees of like, God, I have it all and I feel like I have nothing.
Ugh, the amount of times I have heard that conversation from people or that you see online and the conversations around like we think in our minds that when we get the dream job, the dream partner, the money, the status, whatever, you fill in the blank, then I'm going to feel restful. I'm going to feel at peace. I'm going to feel happy. And more often than not, I know you and I even had that conversations, right? Like I remember sitting and being so excited about my very first retreat that I hosted and thinking I was going to have this like amazing feeling on the other side of that. And it felt quite different than I had anticipated. And there was this like, I don't even think that I celebrated myself and was like, wow, what an incredible experience. Like you brought these women over, like all these things happened. They had amazing breakthroughs. It was just like okay, like what's next?
What's next?
Yeah,
Like,
what's
yeah, that
the
happened.
next thing?
Yeah.
It's this constant like moving of the goalpost of how I'm going to feel happy. And it's because we're continuing to chase things outside of ourselves, right? Instead of looking here and there, it's like all out here. And it's never thirst quenching the way we think it's going to be.
It perpetuates the emptiness, really. And it conditions us to continuously bow down to these false idols. Again, I believe that he's used these things in our lives to show us like, hey, like you're over there, your eyes are over there, you're focusing over there, I'm over here. Can you turn your awareness to me? Right? Matthew 6:33. Seek first the kingdom of God and all of its righteousness, and then all of these things will be added on.
Yeah.
And I am seeing that so deeply in my life right now, right? I've been walking with God for a while, but I didn't surrender my life to God until this past year. And it's been a slow process of like, okay, I'll surrender this. It's like for me, and maybe some people do have that experience. For me, it was like, okay, I'll surrender this. Okay, I'm going to surrender this. Okay, I'm going to surrender this, right? And it's always been when I get to the end of my ability to feel like I have the strength or the power to figure it out on my own. And I think sometimes what is the word I'm looking for? Our tenacity and like our ability actually to be in the struggle for so long is a thing that gets in the way of that, right? Because it takes a lot for us, I think, in our Western world and in our society, because we are taught, like, keep fighting, keep pushing, keep going. It's only going to make you stronger, right? Can make it really hard to surrender those false idols and turn to God and be like, God, I can't do this without you.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, it is an act, I guess, of sacred rebellion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because everything in our training is telling us to toughen up, be stronger, persevere, keep going, and it's all being said with this like, you've got it in you, right? And I was victim of that too, right? Like for the longest time was like, if I can just train my brain to think differently, like everything's going to work in my favor. And still, again, doing all of it from a me centered, like I have all this power, I can do it on my own. And honestly, I'm tired of playing tug of war. You know what I mean?
I don't want to do it on my own.
I don't want to, you know? And then my question that I pose, maybe you have some feedback on it, but even to the people listening is like, why is it so hard for us to just sit these things down?
Ooh. Okay, we live in such an individualistic, ego-driven society that actually fights so hard for our individuality. And our individuality is a gift that God has given us to experience this life through, but it is also like it is the thing that can keep us in so much separation from Him, right? This, I can do it, I can do it, I can do it. It's all in me, it's all on my own. And it becomes like a blessing and a curse, right? Our human experience is such a blessing because we get to have this relationship of being vessels that God gets to create so much beauty through. Like our existence is absolutely miraculous.
Yeah.
But when we hold on to that deep identification with our individual nature, it keeps us separate. It keeps us stuck in that false idolship, right? Because we're chasing the things that are going to we think are going to satiate and sustain and pedestalize and puff up me, me. And it takes a deep humbling to come home to. Like, it's not about me. It's about God. And when it becomes about God, God is here to so deeply nurture and nourish me intimately as an individual, but also in doing that, I have to recognize that what is actually really deeply going to nurture me as an individual is what is also going to pour back into and onto others. It's not just about me and what I want and what I can get. It's about what I can experience when I allow God to do through me or move through me, the unconditional nature of that love that gets to serve into other people and the unity that comes from that.
I mean, it's great in theory. I love it. And I'm like in a constant practice of it every day. And I think another element of that, one that has a strong hold on me that I wanted to name here too, is money. And I think that's a huge one for a lot of people. And because money is something that, you know, we navigate and need to use on a daily basis. And I've created a false idol out of that. Money, status, what does it mean
Vanity,
for me, right? Vanity.
The things I can acquire from the money that I can attain.
Right. And I will speak very candidly that I went through a moment in my life and I lost all of those things. I was stripped of everything. My money, my marriage, my ability to go get my hair done, my nails done, all of those things, my career.
Freedom.
Right? Like literally everything. And sat there and was like, who are you without all of these things? And I had no idea. I had no idea who I was without all of those false idols, all of those possessions and things that I coveted so deeply. And I do really think that that's when God started to work on me in that moment of, can you now, without all of these, now that I've got your attention, like really dig deep and find out who you are,
who I've said you are,
whose you are, right? Like, can you see now your worth and value to this world without the things?
And the piece of the promise that God gives us. That's such a gift I've gotten from coming home to the Bible and like learning through the word of God who God says he is, and through the nature of Jesus who God is. And it takes a while for that to sink into our psyches and to sink into how we actually operate in faith. But God promises us that we are going to be provided for.
Yeah.
He promises us peace. He promises us that we can turn over our fear and our anxieties and all of those things. And those are the things that we're trying to satiate by endlessly chasing, by endlessly being in the busyness, by endlessly chasing the money, chasing the vanity. And yeah, I think above anything else that's written from the time period that the Bible was written, these are the things that we need to be constantly seeing inside of our own lives, right? Because there are things that we have to continue to navigate inside of this human experience. I mean, I am so in love with the mission and the purpose and all the things that we are doing here through our phones, through social media, through business and acquiring abundance through that, right? And it can be such a beautiful, beautiful example of that relationship that we get to have with God. It can be a beautiful way for God to pour through, right? And to deepen that faith. And simultaneously, just as quickly as it can be that, it can be the exact opposite. And it's this really like delicate dance that we have to play. I think especially as creators and entrepreneurs and people who have chosen to walk a non-linear path, like what is the word I'm looking for? To walk a different path, to not have the comfort of the steadiness of, I know I'm going to work 9 to 5 and this is what I get and this is how it all gets allocated, right? There is a certain even slipperier slope that can happen when all of those things aren't guaranteed. And I see the way that God uses that to strengthen our faith. Because if we are actually living in faith, those things are guaranteed, just not in the way that we've been taught that they have to be guaranteed through our control.
So good. And I just want to bring the body on board because that's just super important to me. And checking in with the body. I feel like we get cues, right? You get the cues of where these idols are coming in and noticing, like, when am I feeling like the tightening in my chest? When am I getting the shallow breathing around something? Where am I like noticing anxious, like tense feelings arising?
Where's my mind starting to spin?
Where
figure it
am
out?
I getting like lost in the sauce of my mind? All of those are cues and signals that you are outsourcing, that you are trying to find that,
That you're trying to do it with your own strength and your own will and through like what you believe you can control.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I guess my question then, or like, what can we offer out here of like how to begin to start noticing where we are making something in our life, some tool, an idol? Like, what are some tangible steps, or maybe anything that you've done really to kind of work through that? I know I don't mean to put you on the spot. That just like, kind of came up for me. We're so big on like always giving tangibles here.
Yeah.
It's all great we're talking about this, but like how do I do this? And that's come up a lot in our community.
There's two things that I'm always going to go back to. Building that foundational relationship with God, so that this isn't just something that you're listening to with your ears and absorbing and taking on and kind of feeling like, yeah, great for them, but not for me, right? And that isn't, I can't give you here's 10 steps to finally feel God in your body, right? It's talking to God, reading the word if you feel called to that, getting into conversations about God with other people, surrounding yourself with people who are also curious and exploring that relationship for themselves, and like having those conversations, right? Making God a focus in your life, whatever that looks like for you. And you just talked about getting the body on board. For me, there's such an important piece of having had educated myself on the nervous system and on the way that my body reacts and contracts around the things that I have created idolship around, and how I can use the gift of the body that God gave me to breathe with that and get really familiar with that and use those as moments to, yes, regulate myself, but in that regulation, simultaneously use that relationship to, can I put this at your feet right now? Can I drop into some breath and feel that tightness in my chest and pray like, hey, God, I am struggling right now. I'm feeling myself spinning and trying to control or obsessing over this thing. Can you help me here? Right? And those sorts of practices strengthen the foundational relationship, because then he gets to move miracles in your life and you get to feel the way he works directly in you when you ask and you receive. I don't know if that's it's so hard. I don't know if that's as tangible as we can go with it, but it really is always going to go back to that. What is the foundational relationship that you're creating? And are you centering that? And are you utilizing the things that you have at your disposal, like a prayer practice, like somatics, like nervous system work, right? All of these things that God has given us to understand, like he created this thing for us to experience life through. And it's such a beautiful vessel. It's such a beautiful like piece of technology that he knitted with his hands. And we get to learn how to utilize that to be in deeper relationship with him. And I think that that's something that's not talked about enough.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't think there's like a specific formula. I think for me, what I would say, if you're somebody who is even curious, is starting to look at, what areas of your life do you notice yourself getting really wound up? If I said to you right now, hey, I'm going to take this thing away from you, how would you respond? And notice how your body would respond to that. That's where you're going to start to get curious about where you are creating these idols in your life. And then that give you some direction of, how can I address this relationship? How can I maybe set some boundaries in place around this particular thing, right?
Taking inventory.
Yeah.
That's what that leads to for me. Like asking yourself the question, what are the things that stress me out the most?
Yeah.
Right? And for me, for a long time, it was like business and money. Right?
Yeah.
And how can I utilize those things that could so easily be false idols to grow closer to God? Because God uses the strongholds we have in our life to show us where we are giving the power that he has for us away to something else, and it's the exact same place that we can give that, like, practice giving the power back to him. So if you take inventory of your life, like the things that really stress me out are money, my job, my business, my this, my that, whatever it is, can you practice not completely trying to get rid of that stress on your own by regulating yourself into perfection, but using your breath when that does come up and having that be an opportunity to turn to God and literally like, I have a continuous practice of being like, God, take this. Please take this from me. And I said this in our community recently in this 40 days of devotion that we're moving through right now. It's that every time that you turn to God to give over something that feels heavy, I feel like sometimes we can have this expectation of it's going to happen immediately. Like, oh, I gave that over to God. Why didn't you take it? But it's like you're giving him a piece, right? And it's like as many times as it takes, because as you're choosing to do that, instead of choosing to spiral or obsess or continue to make that thing an idol, you are strengthening your relationship with God in faith, in the spirit, but you are also rewiring your mind and your body and your nervous system to trust in him.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's so important that you name that. Like, I think sometimes people, like you said, oh, I did this thing. Like, why isn't it all better now? I gave this over. Why am I not like just reaping in the money now that I've turned my finances over to God? And no, it's like, I find even in my own walk now, like, it's a constant forget, remember, forget, remember, forget, remember. And it's every single moment to moment, because new things will arise. And then you're like, oof, there's still some of that there. There's deeper surrender here. Being in this, I don't want to say that being in a relationship with God is hard. That's not what I'm trying to say. I think what I'm trying to say is, like, committing, though, to a life where you are really in this full surrender and living a life that is centered around God, I think can be not for the faint of heart.
It's a devotion.
It literally is.
God is not a genie in a bottle.
No. And I do think a lot of people, have that mindset and that viewpoint of who he is. And he's magnificent and he's amazing, and anything is possible.
And a miracle can happen like that.
Yes.
And he's going to use moments in your life, strongholds in your life, to do the work inside of you to turn you into something new, not to give you that thing that you want to satiate the idolship that you have around that thing.
Right. Yeah. And we were talking about that earlier, around money. We also talk about that with men too, like in our relationships that we find ourselves in, where are you seeking that, like, validation of, like, you are a worthy human being from all these other people?
And where is the endless pursuit of those things standing in the way of you sitting in the stillness and the silence and the discomfort that comes up in truly surrendering to God?
Yeah. Good shit.
Yeah. I'm feeling really called to end this episode in prayer.
Yeah?
Around idolship. Yeah.
Okay.
Around, like, strongholds in people's lives and just praying with the listeners.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Do you want to, like, hold my hand? Should I hold my own hand? What are we doing here? All right, fine. I'll sit here like this.
Dear God, first and foremost, thank you so much for the way in which you are moving through our lives, moving through this conversation, moving through the lives of the listeners to draw them into a conversation like this one. Thank you for moving through the world in a way that is opening us up to such deep curiosity around who you are and how you work and who and what you are in our lives. Thank you for everything that we already have and the closeness that we already feel. And God, I just want to pray right now over all of these listeners that you enter their lives in a way that is visceral, that you enter their lives in a way that allows their faith to be so, so deeply felt, that you do the work that only you can do through their hearts, through their minds, through their bodies, to lift the weight of these idols, these modern idols, to release the shame, any shame that they have in their current circumstances around the things that feel really hard to let go of, the things that feel really, really hard to surrender. Can you help them to surrender? Can you help them to know you, to trust in you, to build that faith in you that it is safe, and help to continue to connect them to the spaces and the places and the people that are here to help hold them in the hardship and the uncertainty and the unsteadiness that that walk can sometimes bring. God, we just thank you so much for the beauty of this life and for the way in which you have created it so that we can know you and honor you and love you. We say thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Woo! Thank you. Thank you for that. I really hope that this blessed you. If you're, for tuning in with us today.
Yeah.
I would love to hear, we would love to hear from you in the comments, shoot us an email. Where are these like idols playing out in your life? If there's something specific you want us to lean into, we'd love to hear from you. This is good, powerful conversation. Thank you for joining us. And we'll see you on the next one. Okay, guys, that's a wrap. If today's episode spoke to you, please let us know.